So now to get started, we are going to create a repository, and we're going to use the GitHub Desktop. If you'd like to get the GitHub Desktop, if you don't have it yet, you can just visit this specific link. Let me just share it with you here. I'm also going to have it in the description of this video, that way you can be able to go and grab it. So the link is desktop.github.com, and you can be able to just have a GitHub on your desktop, and it will be very easy for you to be able to have your projects on the GitHub platform. So I'm going to be using that specific desktop version of the GitHub, just to ensure that this project that we are creating is available on GitHub, and you can be able to go grab it and use it for whatever purpose you intend to. So to be able to do that, I'm just going to come to create repository here. So by default it might be like that, so you need to click on that arrow, and then here you can click on add, and you can be able to clone a repository, you can be able to create a new repository or add an existing repository. So for our case, we'll be creating a new repository. So I'll just click on create repository, and here I need to include the name of the repository. So in my case it will be portfolio, and because I already have another portfolio, I'm just going to have it with underscore tutorial. You can include a description if you want, but if you don't want, it's all the same. So, but for me, I'm just going to come and include one here, and I'm going to call it a portfolio website. And then I'm just going to have my repository created in this specific path. If you want it created in a different path, of course you can click on choose, and that way you can go choose your location. You can also initialize this repository with a readme, but for me I'm just going to create repository first for now, and just ignore all this information here. So just click on create repository, and the repository is created, but it's created locally. So if I want it to be published on the internet so that it can be shareable with everybody, I just need to click on publish repository, and that way it will be uploaded on the internet and shareable. But for now, all I need to do is now to open this repository or using my Visual Studio Code. That is my external editor. So if you're using a different IDE or different text editor, of course you can just open it the normal way you can do, or you do. But I also recommend that you use Visual Studio Code, because it's the easiest. Visual Studio to use is free. Yes, and so I'm just going to click on open a Visual Studio Code here. And so what I expect is that Visual Studio text editor will open with my project folder name, and so now it's ready for me to just include everything else that I intend to. So for this specific portfolio website, we'll be using TailwindCss, which is a utility first CSS framework that is equipped with utility classes that are going to help you to style, and not just to style, but quickly and easily style your website. So let me just take you to that specific website here, because I already have it open, and as you can see, it helps you to create modern websites without ever leaving your HTML. So how this works is that you're just going to have your markup, that is the HTML side of your website, and then you're just going to include the classes. And just to put that in perspective, you can see on our right here we are having the specific markup, and so they're just including some classes, and the classes are being compiled in real life. And on our left we can be able to see the effects of those specific, or the results of those specific classes that are being added and on real time being compiled, and so the result appears in real time, and as you can see, that is very effective and very easy. So for us to be able to use that, we need to install TailwindCss. So to be able to do that, I'm just going to head on to docs, and Tailwind is one of the frameworks that are going to give you the best documentation that you'll ever need to get started with this specific framework. So how it works, just to explain it a little bit more, is that it will work by scanning all your HTML files, JavaScript components, and any other templates for class names, generating the corresponding styles, and then writing them to a static CSS file. So the advantages is that it is fast, it is flexible, and it's reliable, and with zero runtime. So to be able to get started with it, there are different ways that you can do that. One of the simplest one is using the what they call the CLI tool. And so this is what we'll be using in this specific video, but you can also be able to have the post CSS. So in this case, you'll be installing TailwindCss as a post CSS plugin. Is the most seamless way to integrate it with most tools like Webpack, Rollup, Vite, and Parcel. You can also be able to have it with the different frameworks that you could be using. Let's say you could be using Next.js, or you're using Laravel, or you're using for example the React app. So all these are this different platforms or frameworks that works with TailwindCss. So you see, you have a variety, and you don't have an excuse of not using the TailwindCss. If you just want to test the framework to see if it works for you, you can use the CDN, and in this case you'll be able to try it right from your browser without any build-up steps. So in this case, you just need to grab this specific script and have it in the head of your HTML file. So for us, we'll be using the Tailwind CLI, and so in this case, we'll be installing the specific program, and so in this case, we'll be installing the framework, and so we have 5 steps that we need to follow to have the framework successfully installed in our project. So the first one is to install the TailwindCss, and in this case we'll be using the npm to basically create our tailwind.config.js file. So to be able to do that, I'm just going to head on back to my project folder here. So I'll close that, and what I just need to do right now is to open the terminal. So I'll just say new terminal. Just give that a second to open. And as it opens, I can just head on back to the Tailwind documentation, and all I need to do is to grab this first line. So the npm install -d for global and TailwindCss. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to have it pasted here and run it. Alright, so as you can see, that has been added successfully, at least 83 packages in a minute. So and as you can see, all those packages have been included in this specific area here. So all I now need to do is to just come and grab this again. So the npx TailwindCss initialization. So I'll grab that, and I'm going to come and run it here again in my terminal. So this will just initialize the TailwindCss framework rather. And as you can see, now we have created the TailwindCss config file, So that was the purpose of this specific line, helping us to create the tailwind.config.js file, which is this specific file over here. It's a JavaScript file, and so now all that we need to do is to configure our paths, our file paths. So as you can see, configure your template paths, add the paths to all your template files in your tailwind.config.js. And so all I need to do is to just come and grab all of this. So this is the one that is now going, it is the one that is now going to help Tailwind to scan all the HTML and the JavaScript files that we have, or that we're going to have in the project. So I'll grab that, and I'm going to have it inside here. Sorry, I should have highlighted the whole of it, including this. Okay, like so. So I'm not going to go into details of how the Tailwind works. If you want to learn about that, I have some videos in this specific YouTube channel that helps you to just understand how Tailwind works. So now that that is done, we can move on to the next step, which is now adding Tailwind directives to our CSS. So all we need to do is to create a file called whatever name, but we can call it source, or we can have it with whatever name, and then we're going to include these Tailwind directives. So I'm going to get back here, and I'm going to create a new folder here. I'm going to call it SCL, or rather not SCL, but it should be sorry for that, this one should be SLC, source. Okay, so now within that source, we are going to create a file, and this file will be called input.css. So I'll head back there, and inside this folder I create a new file, and I'm going to call it input.css. So in that input.css, we are now going to grab this component, the Tailwind base, the Tailwind components, and the Tailwind utilities. So I'll grab that, and I'm going to have it right there. Alright, so that being done, I can even close that. I can also come and close that as well. And so now we can move on to the next step, which is now starting the Tailwind CLI building process. And so all I need to do is to just come and grab this specific line. It is the one that is now going to help us to compile the classes that we are going to create. And as you can see at the end here, we have this flag, the watch, so that will help the framework to watch every class that we're including in real time and process it, and should give us the results immediately. So I'm going to have that, and I'm going to come and run it in my terminal here. And as you can see now, that has run immediately, and as you can see, it says no utility classes were detected because we don't have any files yet, because it was trying to look for the HTML and the JavaScript files, but it could not find any, and so that's why it is having this error here. So we now need to create the specific files, the HTML files, and now have the utility classes, so that now this can be able to learn and process those specific classes. So what I'm now going to do is the last step, that is starting using Tailwind in your HTML. So I'm just going to grab this, and within the folder that I created, the source, I'm going to have now the index.html or the index. Whatever I want. So later we are going to have it with PHP, but for now let's just have it with the extension HTML. So I'm going to get back here, and within this I'm going to now come and include the index.html. sorry index.html, and I'm now going to have the markup, the hello world. And as you can see, the rebuilding is happening in real time, and these utility classes were like compiled, and so now this specific tag has been styled immediately with these specific utility classes, because as you can see here, we are having the h1 tag, and we have the class, which is what we'll always be using, and then now within the class we are now including the utility classes. So this one is just going to deal with the size of the text, this one is going to deal with the weight of the text, and this one is going to just like underline it. Of course, it's all about just styling and giving it a different look. So to help us see that in real life, I'm going to just click on go live. This is because I've installed a Visual Studio extension called Live Server, and let me just show you that here real quick. If you go to your extension here, you can search for Live Server, and you can be able to install it. It is this one, this first one here. So just install it in your editor, and that one now will help you to easily run your projects live, so that as you are creating them, you are able to watch and see what is happening in real life. So close that, and I'm going to just click on go live. Of course, now I expect that to open in my default browser to just show me what we have here. And now, because I no longer need this specific part here, I can just minimize it for now, and also just come and hide that specific area there. Just a second. Alright, sorry. So now, as you can see, that is processed over here, the hello world. So it means that everything is working fine. So for example, if I come and say remove the other line, and I just come and wash it here, it should be refreshed immediately, and now you can see we don't have any line anymore. And let's say for example, we increase the size maybe to maybe allowed 6, we double it, and you expect that now to be that big. So that's the power of TailwindCss, and that's what I'll be training you in this specific video. But this specific video assumes that you have some retro understanding of CSS, and as an extension the TailwindCss, because we're just now going to use the utility classes just to help us to build this specific portfolio. So to just get started, I'm just going to have these side by side, if you may. So just a second as I try to see that. So this one should land on my left, should be the other way loud. This one should be on my left. Let me try and see that. So that goes on the light, and this one goes to my left, yes, like that. So that way anything that I need is going to be on my. Alright, so let's start. Okay, so so now with that, so without so much ado, let's do this. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is to create the navigation bar, of course, as you would expect. So I'm going to just get rid of that, and here I'm just going to have a comment, and let me just call it nav. So that's just to help me understand that this is where we have the nav, and maybe here I can just come and say ads. And so now here I'm going to create a tag. I'm going to call it nav, and then within that nav I'm going to have a container. So I'm going to have a div, and so within that div I'm going to include an anchor tag. So this will be for the name of the website. So I'm going to have an anchor tag. Maybe we can have it going to index.html for now. Maybe we might need to change that a little bit later. And so here I'm just going to come and have the name. So I will say portfolio. We'll be styling it in a second, so don't worry. First of all, we're going to just deal with the markup, and then later on I'm going to just have the CSS, the framework utility classes. So now you can see the portfolio just appears there. And so now the next thing that I'll need to do is to just below the anchor tag, I'm going to have yet another container. This should be a container, a div, and so inside here we are going to have yet another div. So as we continue, this is going to take shape, and so you're going to understand almost every bit. So within that, so remember we are creating this being so within this I'm going to have a span, and remember this will be mobile first, so we are like creating this with the mobile first in mind. So we're just going to leave that over there, and now below that we're going to come and have another anchor tag. So this anchor tag is one that is going to have the update button. So inside this anchor tag we are going now to have the specific button. So I'm just going to come and have a button there, and so this will be the update button. And so this button is the one that someone will be clicking on a mobile, so that they can be able to like toggle the nav bar. So we're going to see how that is going to work in real life. So now being done with that, I'm just going to hide that so that we can be able to just understand what's going on. So now outside of that, now we are now going to have the nav items. We're going to have the nav items. So I'm going to have yet another container, and so now within this container I'm now going to have an ordered list. So an ordered list. So within this I'm now going to just include the list themselves. So we're going to have the home, we're also going to have the clients, we're going to have the about, we're going to have the services, and we're going to have the project. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can just have these multiplied by 6, and this one will be for home. This one will be for clients. This one will be for about. and here we're going to have the services, and we're also going to include the projects here, and finally here we're going to have the contact. Alright, so now all we need to do now is to add the utility classes and see how that is going to work out. So we're going to start with the nav. So let's just show that. So with the nav here, I'm going to have a class, and the first thing that I'm going to do is to have the background color. So I'm going to say BG, and the BG should be gray 900, so that's some sort of dark, and as you can see that appears there. And I'm also going to have a border, and the border should have a gray 200. So those are just colors that we've just added in our nav. So now we move on to the first container, and so with this, the first thing that we're going to do is to have the flex. So this will help us to have the items arranged in a row. So now we also want the items to wrap. So based on the specific size that we have, we can have the items lapping. So I'm going to have the flex wrap, and I'm also going to have the items centered. So I'm going to have the utility class items center. As you can see, that centers everything there. So to be able to distribute these items, because I want these to appear on my left, and I also want now these to appear on my right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say justify between, and as you can see now, this appears on my left, this appears at the middle, and this appears on the right side. Now after that, I also want to determine the width, and I want to create a maximum width so that it cannot go beyond that specific width despite the size of the screen is being displayed on. So I'm going to say max width, and I'm going to talk about extra large. Then after that, I'm going to give them a padding that is right, that is left. So I'm going to, now after that, I'm going to have a padding right and left. So I'm going to just talk about px, and this one will be 4. And I'm also going to talk about the margin left and right, so mx, and that will be out. Okay, so the first one is down there. So now we're going to go to the anchor tags. So rather not the anchor tag, but this specific website name. So I'm going to talk about class, and I'm also going to have the items aligned in a row. So I'll say flex, and I'm also going to have the items or this specific item centered. So that is this portfolio that we have in here. Now after that, we can now move on to this other container here. So I'm going to talk of class, and as usual, again, the items should flex in a row. They should also be centered, and on large devices, I want this to appear second. So I'll just say order 2. Alright, so after that, now we can move on to this other container here. So I'll talk of class, and so this one on mobile, it should be hidden, remember this is mobile first, so I'll have that hidden. And for the margin top, I'm going to give it 2. For the margin right, I'm going to give it 2. And on small devices, this one should have an inline block. So let me just have it with that specific size so that you can be able to clearly see. So now after that, we're now going to have the class for the anchor tag. So I'm going to have the text being white. For the font, it should be median. We should also have the text being small. It should have a padding right and left of 4. Then we have the PY, it should be 2. And because this specifically will be the button that will be clicking to update this specific portfolio, we're going to have it with a background color. So I'll say BG. So we're going to have it with the orange background, so that one will be above 500. And as you can see, that appears over there. And then the other thing that we can also do is to just have it with some rounded corners. So I can just say over here rounded LG. So let's just put some roundness allowed that specific button, if I may say so. And also we want, when someone hovers on it, the background changes a little bit, so we can talk over hover. And so we can say the BG should be amber, and we're just going to increase the saturation of this orange color just to have it a bit dark. And so now when that refreshes and when you overlay it, that's what happens to that specific button. So we can leave it like that for now. We're going to come back to it just to make it work, because right now it's just a button. So now after that, now we can now move on to the button. So this button here, first of all, it should have the data collapse, because this is the button that we're going to use on a mobile to just toggle the menu. So data collapse toggle, so that one will be equal to mobile menu 2 should have a type of button. So type is equals a button. And so now we're going to again style it. Let me just collapse it here a little bit. And so here we're just going to talk about class. So we're going to add the following classes to it. First of all, it should have an inline flex. Items should be centered as always. So items center. And for the padding, all allowed should be 2, while the text is small, and that text itself should be gray. 500 plus, we should also have it with some loudness, so rounded LG. So this is just the size of the corners. Okay, and so now after that, what we now need to do, oh sorry, there's something that we need to fix. I can see that is affecting the other button. So these should be separate. So this one should come here, so like so, just have it like that. Then the button should come over here, then we have that over there, and let's just have it like that, so that way the code is a bit cleaner. So right, yeah, like that, so that's better. So now that leaves our button without a class. Oh, sorry, this is because this name should not be there. This name should be within the anchor tag, so should be there. Right, so that is fixed. So now we're now going to have our button being styled properly. So after the routed LG, so the next thing that we now need to do is to say that on RAG devices we should not see this button. So we're going to say LG, and we're going to say hidden, and then after that we're now going to have a hover, so BG gray 100. We should also now talk about focus, so like when we click it, we should not see those outline, so we're going to say outline none. And now we should also come here and include the area controls. Area controls, so that one should be again mobile menu, two, and should also have the area expanded, and that should be equal to true. Alright, so now after that, now we now need to have a span, and here I'm going to come and say open main menu, and here we are going to include a class of SR only. So after that, now the next thing is to have the button itself. And just to show you what we'll be creating, so this is what we are creating so far. So you can see where we are. So now we are looking to have this specific button here. So let me just try to grab that specific SVG icon there. Let me try to see one from Hello Icons. So just a second as I try to pull that in Hello Icons, or from the Hello Icons. So here maybe I can talk of menu. So we have one here. I can copy this SVG, and that is what I'm going to have over here. So like so we have it allowed here, so we should be seeing it allowed here. I don't know what's the problem, we are not able to see it. But Okay, so let's just try to style the rest of the information that we have here and see how that will work. So first of all, let's just come to this and we give it a class. And first of all, we have the items at the center, and we also say justify between. And oh yeah, we're just doing that. We just have that reappearing there. And so now I need now to have the width being full. And on large devices, we should have the items flex, and we should also have a width of auto on large devices. So LG, and here I'm going to talk about auto. So that should be the width, and how these items here are going to be ordered on large devices. For these specific items here, they should come first, the anchor tags or the nav items. So I'm going to talk about order 1, and then after that, because these are the items that will be hovering on and off, I'm going to give this div an ID of equal to mobile menu 2. So this this one specifically is going to help us to target this specific div, because you see here we have in this button, it has the mobile menu 2. So now when a person clicks on this button, this is what they'll be able to show or hide. So this specific container is one that they'll be showing or hiding once they click on this specific button, and that's why we're having it with that specific ID over there. Alright, so now that that is working fine, we can now go to the unordered list and we try to style it. So here we're going to have a flex. So these ones, they will flex in a column, so I'll talk of flex col, and for the margin top it should be 4. We should have the font being median. On large devices, we should have flex in a low, remember, because in this case now we want them to extend the whole of this specific area because there will be that low. So I'm going to talk about a low. And also on large devices, the space right and left it should be 8. We cannot say that yet because right now the space here is small, so it cannot work. So now after that, now we're going to say LG of all on large devices, the margin top should be 0. So now this is on a small device, but what happens on a bigger device? So let's try to push this one, and as you can see right now on a large device, the items are going to flex in a low like this, and we no longer have that button, that specific button over there. But now when we push it to that specific size, now we have the items appearing there, and we have this specific button appearing there, although as of now it's not working, but we are going to fix that because it should be helping us to just do just that. Yeah, but in our case it's not doing that, and so we're going to fix that later. Alright, so let's just have this in that specific size, and so now we can move on to the next thing. And so now we're just going to style one of these LIs, and we're going to copy that class to all of them, or rather I can just hold Alt on the keyboard, and then I just click on all the LIs like that, because the classes will be the same. And so here I can talk of block, and the padding top and bottom should be 2, the padding bottom should be 3, padding right should be 4, and we should have the text being gray 700. For the border, we are going to have a border bottom, and so should be gray 100, and on large devices the border should be 0. And as you can see, that is taking effect. And also on large devices we should have a hovering effect, so I'm going to say Raj hover, and so this will be affecting the text. So the text when hovered, the text when hovered should have a color of glare 700. And on large devices, again LG, we should have a padding of 0. Yeah, so that looks a bit nice if you compare it with the complete project here. So this is what we have, and this is what we have. Alright, so now we need to style the portfolio, this over here, because it should be looking like this. So let's try to check that out, what happened, because that is something that we have already I think styled already. So just a second, and I'm just going to go there, and in fact now yeah, we have not styled this span, so we can come and do that right now. So we can now give it a class of one self center. Yes, the name suggests it's going to place it at the center automatically. The text should be extra large, the font should be semi-bold, plus also we should have the text being white, so I can talk of text white. Yeah, and we should talk of white space being none up. Yeah, so that's looking fine there. Okay, so the text here doesn't look that clear. Let me see if we can have the text being 400 instead. That's not, yeah, that's what I intend to see. Yeah, so it should be almost the same with that. Yeah. So now let's try to see what's happening with this button, because it should be helping us to hide and show this specific part. Oh yeah, so just remembered what is the issue over here. So we need to come and have this specific script that will now enable all that to happen, because here we are talking of mobile menu 2 and it's not defined or something. So when we include this specific script, it should help us to be able to toggle that specific button there, or that toggle button should be working. So I'm going to have a script and the source should be the following: https and now, as you can see, that is helping us to toggle that on and off as we should expect, just like what is happening over here. So maybe we can just include some padding top, because it looks like this one is so close to the top edge there. Yeah, and all we can do in this case is have a py, that is padding top and bottom, of 2.5. Let's see if that fixes anything. Yeah, so that fixes that, so we have that working very fine. Well, now that we are done with the nav, we can move on to the hero section. So I'm even going to call it a hero section, and that should be the comment. And let me just come and include ads here, that way we know that's where it ends. So now after that, now we can of course just include some containers here. So the first one will be the main container. In fact, this one is going to have a class of main, so I can just have it like that. And then now within this, I'm going to have yet another container within which I'm going to have one more container like so. And so now here I'm going to now have the container that is going to have the two in fact, let me just have it this way so you can be able to understand. I'm going to have two container this, so I'll have that multiplied by 2. And so here I'm going to have the so that specific text, and here I'm going to have the developer. Sorry. And in fact, I'm also going to have one more in which it will be download CV. So for better understanding, let me just have this collapsed like that, so that way it will be easier for us to understand. So like that, and also here just have it appearing down there, so that way we can have a good flow of all the containers that we are having. And then now after that, just about here, we're going now to have one more container. So this is the one that is going to contain the image. So in fact, we're just going to have that image right now. So we're going to go to our project folder, the portfolio tutorial, and here I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it images, and now within the images we now expect to have that specific image. So I'm going to go to the finished project, and I'm going to grab the specific image that we are using. So this is the image that we are using, and I'm going to include it in my images within my project. Okay, so now that being as it is, then I can come and have that image here. So the source should be images, or other. So under the source we should now come and have the SRC rather we should. Okay, so in the source, first of all, we are going to get out of the source folder, so that way we can go to images, and that way we can go to pick the profile. We need to have this. Yeah, and as you can see now we have the specific image there. So we now just need to style them a little bit. That way now everything will be looking fine. So we're going to start with the main. So real quick, so that one in fact will just remain as it is, and then we just come to the second div. So we're going to have the items flex call, that is on a mobile, but on MD devices the items should flex in a low. On MD devices the height should be 100, so we say H screen, and we should also have the item justified between, and the px should be 5, and also we should have the background gray of 100. So as you can see, that one just appears there as you would expect. We have that gray background, the items have been moved from the margin. Okay, so now after that, now we go to the second container. So in the second container we are also going to have the items flex being justified center, and also the items should be at the center. And so now the padding top should be we should not have the padding there. In this case we should just come and say that the height or rather the width should be 1.5 or a half. So as you can see now the items just appears that way. So let's keep on styling this. And so the first is the I am, and so we're going to style that as well. And so as usual it should be flex call, and we should now have the padding top of it. Alright, so that is done. So this should be the whole of this whole container which houses all of these. So now just a minute, looks like we have missed something there, which is very, very important. Yes, so that one might not work as you would expect, because within these we need to have yet another container. So let me just get rid of that, and here I'm going to have a container which is going to house all of those items there. So that way now let me just have this aligned properly, so we can indent it a little, so like that. And so now it is here that we are now going to have those specific classes of flex call, and now the padding of 8, like that. Yeah. And so now this is now the text, the I am, so we should now have it styled as follows. So justify, so we should have this with justify center, items center, the text should be 2XL, and we should have the text of semi-bold, and the color of the text should be slate 700. Okay, so we have that over there, and then you can come to the developer, or this other div here. So this one we can call it, we can give it the following utility classes. One is a padding top of 8. The text should be 5XL, that's the size of the text, and we should also have this one being bold, and the text should have a color of slate 900. Alright, so that one is not looking bad. Fine, if we look at this, alright, yeah, it's the same, that's how it is. If you can style it any better, well and good. Maybe the padding here is too much. So let me see, I am, and yeah, so let it be at the center. So what I've just done is to just say that the justify center and the item center should only work on medium devices, but on mobile first it should be just aligned to the left like that. If you want it to be aligned at the center, then well and good, you can just include the center. Yeah, so on big devices it will be at the center, but on smaller devices then it will just come to the left, and that will just fix that issue that we were having there. So we can now move on to the download CV. We style it a little bit, so this one should be justify center, margin top of 5, font should be semi-bold, the text should be white. On large devices the text the text should have a size of large, and we should also come and have a padding top and bottom of 4, and for the BG it should be amber, so that is our orange color, so that should be amber 500. And then finally, of course, now we should have it rounded MD, and there you go. So just hide that. As you can see, yeah, and this BG color should also be covering the image. So looks like we have an issue with the containers because it's only covering this specific area here. So let me see how we can fix that. This BG gray 100 should also cover the image. Just a second, as I see what could be the issue in that case. And yeah, so the issue that we're having is that this should not be there, rather we should have it inside this container. So that is this one here, that has the BG that we have explained here. So because it was outside this specific div, this one here, as you can see, it was outside here, that's why it was not like being considered. So yeah, and that one should be fine now. If I enlarge it, yeah, so it should be looking like that. So that is the hello section. It's already complete. So now we'll move on to the about.